And yeah, so I guess it's kind of maybe a big week for politics, if you want to call it that, with the Super Bowl being like a political thing, and then this meeting with Elon Musk. So I'm sure he's had plenty of meetings with Trump, although this one seems to have gone viral in a way that happened on Tuesday because Elon didn't get the memo that it wasn't bring your son to work day that day because he did, or at least one of his sons. His son, I don't know exactly how to say his name, and I'm not trying to be rude or whatever, but like X-A-E A-Xii or something like that. I know it's like some math equation or something like that, but or X as he calls him, which is what I'm going to call him. He brought him to the Oval Office on Tuesday, but it didn't seem like X really enjoyed it that much. And I mean, I don't really blame him because it's not like an office, even with the president works in, is that stimulating of an environment for a child. I mean, with all that money he has, he couldn't find a babysitter for the kid. But anyway, according to E! News, Trump referred to X as, quote, a great guy, high IQ individual. Uh, yeah, I mean, I don't know if Trump knows that he's a 4-year-old kid and not a 40-year-old man who he does business with, but I don't know how you're going to test the IQ of a child. But I don't know, he probably doesn't remember his own kid's name sometimes, so I'm not going to check if he knows what he's talking about with X, whatever. But anyway, also during the meeting, according to E! News, X picked his nose and grabbed onto Elon's leg until he picked him up eventually. So he wasn't. People, I've seen people kind of be rude to the kid actually about that, which I think is a bit mean. Since I don't even blame him for that. Since again, he's 4 years old. And I mean, think back to when you were 4 years old. Would this be a very fun environment for you? Just your dad and some old guy you don't know talking to a bunch of cameras for 2 hours while you're just left to stand there. So I don't know. I don't blame him for that. And it was probably a complete blunder to bring him to the White House in the first place. So whatever the kid did, as long as he didn't like take a dump on the desk or something, I feel like he can get a pass for that. At least that's how I feel. But I guess it was not like a mutual decision to bring him to the White House because his parents kind of have split thoughts on this. Grimes, the singer, his mother tweeted, quote, he should not be in public like this, and, quote, I did not see this. Thank you for alerting me, but I'm glad he was polite, since apparently someone commented that he was polite at the White House. Now, I mean, considering how crazy Elon is a lot of the time, I think it's fair to say Grimes is probably the better parent out of the two. But to be fair, before people give her too much credit, I mean, she co-signed on naming the kid, XAEA double hockey sticks or whatever they named him. Let's not act like she's completely normal here. All right, it's probably best to say that maybe both these guys have made mistakes. I guess in the past is one way to put it. So I think that's just important to keep in mind. We're going over this. I mean, obviously you can say Elon's worse or whatever if you want, but yeah, this is not. It's not like a one side has no fault or whatever. But to be fair, at least she sees how ridiculous the whole bringing the kid to the White House thing is. I mean, I'm glad she realizes that. But Elon kind of looked at the attention he's gotten as a good thing. It seems like because he responded on Twitter with a heart and smiley face emoji to a tweet that featured a side-by-side comparison of him with X and a photo of JFK and his son in the Oval Office. And made it compared them, like kind of implied they're similar things. I think most people have seen that photo. It's the photo of JFK Jr. in his desk, and he's crawling around in there, and JFK working. It's like a cute photo or whatever. I mean, the difference though is that was the president's son kind of goofing around in the house that he lived in while the president was working. That's kind of what made it an endearing photo. It wasn't some meeting that JFK kind of brought his son to, surrounded by photographers, and just he probably shouldn't have brought him to in the first place, and just had him sat there. It is a different thing, Elon. I mean, I know Elon is kind of like the president, but it's not the same thing still. I mean, but I also think another thing about Elon Musk, maybe I should have mentioned this earlier, but I thought was a bit funny, is how it's not that I'm calling him the kid X, it's that he calls him X as well. It's kind of weird. I don't know why you gave your kid a name that you don't even want to say the full thing. He just loves to name things X. I don't know what that's about. He renamed Twitter X. He calls his kid X. X.com was an early version of PayPal. X. I don't know what it is about that weather. And that I don't know what the hell that why I said that weather. That name, that letter that he's just focused on, hyper fixated on, that he's going to name everything after it. I mean, he's one of the coolest letters. Like that, the X-Men, X Factor, all that stuff. So I guess if you're going to choose a letter, that's the one to pick. But I don't know. It's not really necessary to give everything in your life the same name. But I think it's just important to say you might not want to give your kid a name that you would just be tired of saying yourself, that you have to come up with a nickname for it or a shortened version of it. But in the end, I can't comment, and I know a lot of people have. I can't particularly comment on how great like a parent Elon is or anything like that. But I would just advise whatever problems he does have, he works out before he has his next kid. Like E equals MC squared, or I don't know, whatever the hell he decides to call him.